Welcome to Impact Duty. I'm your host, Benaisha Kripalani, bringing you empowering stories of friends and people I admire. Their voices have given me joy and the momentum to share their stories with you. Benaisha Kharas Dongre is an appearance to attitude enhancer. She's passionate about infusing self-love and self-care in her clients so that they can develop a powerful, influential, and charismatic personality. She's India's first youngest image master consultant and a 5-time winner of the Global Excellence Leadership Award. She's also a certified REBT practitioner and uses this and other methodologies to enhance her clients with their mental well-being and self-care practices. Benaisha Kharas Dongre, welcome to Impact Duty. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you, Benaisha, for having me here. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine. I've been looking forward to talking to you, Benaisha, really. So I discovered you through your TEDx talk, totally taken in what you had to say and felt I had to reach out to you. You're definitely a woman of so many accomplishments. The list goes on. I'm just going to name a few of the hats that you don. Image consultant, integrative personal counselor, TEDx speaker, attitude coach, and more. But Benaisha, how did this journey of so much accomplishments and success begin for you?
So, Benaisha, the journey has been 11 years now.
Wow.
And it started when I was 19. And it's been a long journey. It seems long, but it's just about yesterday. I feel like I've just started, and it was a journey that started with an idea of being the better version of myself. And then it just became into a whole career. It became into a whole pathway of just helping individuals and, making that my work mission and the way forward. So when I was little, it was that moment wherein struggles were real at that age. And today, of course, when you reflect back, it's what made you you. So while growing up, it was about how can I do better? How can I be better? Look, talk, speak, think, all of those things better. And childhood being rough because I had, and I still do have, learning disabilities of dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. Because of that, education was a bit hard to retain, to focus through in all of those aspects. But at that age as well, 11, 12, 13 was the time when I did think that, in life, I want to be somebody who my younger self could appreciate, could help out. And so I stumbled upon image management while I was, doing my double graduation in the subjects of psychology and sociology. And it just seemed to fit so beautifully. It was like a marriage, the external and the internal upliftment of a human being. And I felt image management was a good definition to everything that I was actually looking to kind of structure into just, therapy or psychology. Because image management but it does talk about the way you look affects the way you think and the feeling and the way you act and get your responses. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how the journey started to conceptualize within me.
Wow. And I'm going to take you back a little further. You mentioned you were doing a double graduation. Okay? You started by telling me, that you had several learning disabilities, including ADHD, and yet the next sentence included a double graduation.
Yes.
So how did you manage this, Benaisha?
I actually did manage it. To be very honest, Benaisha, I did not manage it. There definitely is a God, and I just got it through. I didn't really have much of a choice at the position that I was in. I wanted to do only psychology. I didn't make it to doing only psychology. And why so is because, you needed a specific grade to only do a particular, there was a system back then,
Right.
in college for the same. And, your grade had to be to a particular point. So you could do all the subjects and just focus on it. And at the same time, I also wanted to do a little bit of sociology. I wanted to understand the nuances of society in general and not just of one specific human being.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. Instead of studying just three subjects,
Right.
I landed up studying 6 subjects for each subject.
Wow.
So that leaves me with 12. So I went in thinking like, oh yeah, good job. Like, it'll be good to go. I'll sound great on paper and all of that. But I little did, like, once I filled in the form and signed it, I did not realize that I actually had to study 12.
Wow.
So it was an ordeal.
Uh-huh.
Great amount of ordeal. And it doesn't stop at graduation, right? Like when you want to be a therapist, you also need to have working hours. You need to study the different modalities. So after graduation, then I went on to study a little bit, of course, a lot more about different types of therapies that are there, the different modalities, along with image consulting, which was a whole other 1.5 years of study as well. So for the person who just didn't want to study, I actually didn't want to graduate, to be honest. I literally told my parents, come on, 12th grade should be enough to good to go, right? And I was looking for all opportunities of careers wherein you just needed to be a 12th pass. So the first that popped up was an air hostess for me. And my dad said, but what if people want to converse with an air hostess? You'd just be a 12th grade, pass out. You wouldn't have better education. You wouldn't know how to talk about various other subjects. I'm like, Dad, you don't run the institute. Let them decide. They said 12th grade. But, somehow that didn't work out for me. I also then wanted to be a graphic designer. That also didn't work out for me. So I did internships with things that were interesting to me. So I wanted to get into designing of bags and shoes. So I did that for a summer. I did graphic designing for a summer. I did modeling for a couple of years just for fun. I did a bunch of things while I was in college as well. So I've been literally I was 15.
Wow, Benaisha.
Yeah. So I tried on all the things and I realized that no, not for me. I thought it was for me, not for me, not for me, not for me. And life had it so that I literally decided to take the career path that required me to study more.
Wow.
So even after I did my image consulting in India, I went to the States to do an added international program. So what I've concluded for myself is that if you have an interest in something, the objection of what you thought in your childhood doesn't really bother you. So studying never bothered me because today when I read and I study more about psychology or image management, it's not a study for me. It's more like, it's therapeutic. It's out of my interest. So yes, I guess it was just math in a different direction that I did not like, and I construed it with all my studies.
Oh, tell me about it. And Benaisha, you're so confident in your skin, and it comes out authentically. Were you always this confident?
No, considering
never. Oh, really? Okay, tell us more. Okay, tell us more about how it was growing up. You grew up in Bombay?
I grew up in Mumbai. Yes, I grew up in Bombay, and I went to 2 schools. I shifted 2 schools. I studied ICSE. Then I went to St. Xavier's College.
Wow.
So I did an HSC, Mumbai University Board, and St. Xavier's. They had an autonomous by the time I came to my year as well. So yes, I did local education of my city. But school was tough, especially my first half of my school till 8th grade. Actually, all the grades were really tough, but till 8th grade, from grade 4 to grade 8, those were rough years. 4 years were super rough. And what I mean by rough was I used to bite my nails. I was the the nail biting child, the child in the corner, the child who didn't homework, the child whose report cards was like a rose, the child who lied to her parents because she didn't get good grades. I was that kid. I was literally that kid. And I was the kid who was at the counselors every alternate day, the school counselor. I had several of my own individual counselors. I was a kid who tried running away from home, tried committing suicide. I was that kid, literally. Today, I can say it much more confidently because I've been in therapy myself for many years. My parents really, really invested a lot of time, energy, and lots of money into really getting me over a lot of my fears, my apprehensions, a lot of negativity that came along through my own belief systems and my friends. Yeah, so it was a very rough ride. And then it didn't stop there because, of course, there was bullying happening because of that. And I was in an all-girls school earlier. And then I went into a co-ed. So I actually didn't even know how to talk to boys because for most part of my life, for 13 years of my life, I've never spoken to really boys as such. And then suddenly do. And that's the same time like your hormones are raging as well.
Tell me about it.
You are nervous and attracted all at once. And but I honestly feel that my parents did the best they could do and they did really well. At that given point of time, there were many moments where I thought that I could have a different set. But now when I look back, I feel I've rationalized a lot. And I'm like, no, I'm absolutely grateful for the pair that I have. And I was never the kid who signed up naturally for anything. I used to love sports and I used to play sports. I used to do art. But somehow, somewhere, because academics, while I was growing up in the 19s, was such an important factor, that 80% of my energy, because I was a slow learner, anyway needed to be directed towards my education. Right. So while I did do some decent art and played a sport, I never could really excel into, that factor at that given point of time because it was like, I'm trying to make a painting out of interest, but no, come on, you have to study. So, no time for this because this is not going to get you a job or this is not really going to work for you. So, with that mindset at that given stage in our lives back then in the 90s was very difficult because I always felt like I took up something and then I had to let it go. So all my life, I really have to let, now when I'm thinking about it, as I was speaking to you, I've let go of a lot of things that I've really wanted to do and things that I could have really been really good at from the start, but just never chiseled it. So I think with all of those baggage, I just started to shut down here. I just started to downsize with my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. I landed up talking to myself a lot and the conversation was, you can't do much, Benaisha, so just shut up and sit in the corner. So those kind of conversations really never very. And then at the same time, okay, you're wearing this, but your friends do it better than you because they have the better resources to do it. And my conversations with me, not so good. Not good at all, actually, I would say. Anyway, over a period of time, changed schools, met a bunch of better teachers, changed a few counselors, met a bunch of new of them. So my school too did really good for me in terms of from a larger group of students in one class, I went into a more smaller niche, student format. My teachers gave me a lot more positive attention rather than negative attention. They were good listeners. And I think at that given point of time, it's really important for a child to develop, to have a good listener. Right. Teachers want you to say things, but they don't want to listen to them. They just want you to answer the correct answers to validate that they are a good teacher. But I found really good teachers in, school management and principals as well that they actually said, no, you take your time, because at that given point of time, I did not even frame good sentences like I am today with you. I used to be like, so what I want to really say is, Miss, I forgot. But that's how I used to talk, you know? So it got very frustrating to the opposite person as well. But I then found a patient lot of people. I found few friends, but nice friends who kind of understood that. So in contrast to a lot of people who look at me today and think I have a gregarious friend circle or a happening social life, I'm actually someone who Saturday night and Friday night is a good book and my two little girls, my dogs, you know, and that seems just about great and good for me, because my job requires to be so social with people that then I just want to downsize and be with me. And of course, I like going out. I like meeting people. I am a social person. I love attending events and parties too. But I think I decide and I choose which works when. Because there are moments that young Benaisha does pop about and she does not want to talk.
Right.
You know? Right. So, yeah, it's been actually, now when I'm talking to you and just going back and thinking about it, it's been quite a trajectory of like an up and a down and an up and a down. And it didn't just stop in my teen years. Even when I started working as a consultant, there were moments wherein I used to kind of be like, I don't know what I'm going to say to these people, even though I have the expertise of it. But, you know, sometimes when, like even the TEDx talk, there were 100 odd people in that. And it was really overwhelming, considering the fact that it was India's first TEDx event, by the way. And I was the first speaker.
Oh, my, Benaisha.
It was really, really daunting. It was really, and it was in the new Parsons school at that given point of time. So the school had a hype, and you know, everything was hyped up, and I was sweaty palms and flushed out, and I had to talk about the most difficult part of me, which was my disability.
Wow.
So, you know, at that given point of time, you feel proud and ashamed all at once.
Yeah.
It was one of those bittersweet moments. And then when it was finally over, a bunch of people do come up to you and, you know, share that, yeah, I've been through this too, and it was nice.
Thank you.
And those were the moments that actually validated to me to say that, no, Benaisha, you need to talk a little bit more about the things that don't show up to people naturally. And I say my vices not as armor on my sleeve, but just as, you know, something to share to the world that, hey, it's okay. This happens to me too. And I can hear you. Maybe I don't have advice for you, but I can hear you out. And maybe that would just feel a whole bunch better. I mean, someone listening to this podcast, in the past, people have heard podcasts and they've never known me before, but they've just come through, you know, channels like yours, and they go like, you know, this one line that you said in that 40-minute episode, that's the only thing that hit me home. But that's good and golden, because I think there are so many things about other people too that have made me learn so much, that have taught me so many things, and that have made me the lady I am today, from the nervous little wreck.
Oh, bravo, Benaisha. And the reason I'm nodding, and it's because your story resonates with so many of us in a different way, but definitely there's something that resonates. I mean, as you were saying this, I remember high school. High school was not the greatest for me either. I used humor as a way to fit in. You know, I was always the funny girl and that kind of thing, you know, but I used humor, okay, because I was a skinny little girl and, you know, popular for the fact that I was a bit fun. But I was also the quiet, shy one who would just be too happy to sit behind a book. I'm still a huge reader, but yes, that there was just so much when you were speaking right now that resonates. I know my pivotal moment where things changed for me. But I'm going to go back to ask you, was there a pivotal moment where there was a mindset shift for you?
Yeah, I think if people hear me often, they'd get fed up of this line, but I can't say this enough. There was that one moment outside a church, and I read the line, "The miracle is within you." Coming back from an open day with my mom. And the open day was quite colorful, with my report cards not being up to the mark. And, Mrs. Kharas, I don't know what your daughter is going to do in her life. The same situation, just different report cards every year. And I read that quote, "The miracle is within you," because my question and why it hit so beautifully, it was like that magical Hindi movie moment. Because my question to myself was, where is the magic? There has to be magic. Where is this magic, and where is this wow thing that I'm searching and I'm looking for that I'm just not being able to find? How can I help myself? Because every time I went in and, a teacher, my parents, they just kept on saying, "Benaisha, God will not help you if you don't help yourselves." But they wouldn't understand that I'm really trying very hard to study and get my grades. Like I couldn't explain to them how difficult it was to remember dates and sentences and theories and algorithms and so on and so forth. I just couldn't get it beyond what I did get.
Right.
And Benaisha, it's so weird. It is so weird because today you put me in a room and I would have a conversation with you about anything at all. And people look at me and go like, "Are you sure you were dyslexic? Are you sure you're dyscalculus? And are you sure you're really in this business? Are you really sure about it?" I'm like, I'm as surprised as you are, but that was the magic. It was almost like when I passed through that, it was like God literally blessed me with magic after that day. Because it was just magic and magic and magic and a whole bunch more of magic that happened after that. And even when I speak to you right now, I get goosebumps because that day is so important for me. It started off as one of the worst days and it ended as, I have a great idea. And the idea simply was, number one, from that quote on, number one, I told myself, "Benaisha, you have to be authoritative with yourself." So from my body language, which went like, "Yeah, mom, I don't know how I did. Like I did study, like my mom's here, but I'm looking down." Right? It went from this to, "Okay, mom, I have studied so much and this is all I can do. I'm sorry, I can't do beyond this." I started standing up for myself with my parents, with my friends, with my family. They started taking me a lot more seriously rather than the dumb girl on the corner, or the bichari girl in the corner. And that was the magic. That was the magic. So instead of me saying, "Oh, Benaisha, you're so stupid, you're never going to remember, so forget about it, you don't even attempt it." It was like, I'm going to attempt to whatever I can do. And then the rest, if I can't do it, no worries. I'm going to just let it be. I'm going to be okay with not being okay. I'm going to be okay with what I can do. So the minute I started up standing for myself, the minute I started authorizing myself, the world around me started endorsing me. And that's the quote that I framed and I use it with all my clients. The moment you authorize yourself, you say who you are, everybody else will authorize you. Today, you are endorsing me is because I tell you who I am. You don't know me till I don't tell you.
Oh, Benaisha, beautiful. Thank you. That was beautiful. And Benaisha, you're a kid of the 90s, as in growing up in the 90s. How do you feel the scenario in India? We'll look at the scenario in India in general, has changed for kids coming in with disabilities or being recognized for those disabilities. How has the scenario changed? Has it improved? And are there support systems in place to support this generation of children?
Yes, lots of it. In fact, I was the first diagnosed individual of this kind in a 200-year-old school.
Wow.
Which is why I changed schools, because it did not have the ability to kind of work with me. sadly had identified me as a mentally challenged individual, which is very different from a learning disability individual. Mentally challenged do have learning disabilities, but all learning disabilities aren't mentally challenged. So that understanding wasn't there back then. Then, of course, Amir Khan did a wonderful thing and made Tare Zameen Par, but by that time I was already tortured by the educational system. So, and Tare Zameen Par actually was a product of all the mothers of children like us coming together to build that association. And actually, a friend of mine, his mom started this. It was all of these moms coming together to say, we need a system because our kids can't be categorized here and they can't be categorized here. The spectrum was too broad. Like today we have so many shows like The Good Doctor and things like that, which talk about autism, the different spectrums of it. Just because you have disabilities doesn't make you disabled. It makes you different.
Yes.
Right. And I did have issues with communication. So I didn't have speech issues, like I didn't lisp or any of those. But yes, I mean, my spellings still today are rotten. So I always have, even if it's an Instagram post sometimes, my autocorrects don't help me autocorrect. It's that confusing. I always am asking my sister or my husband, what is the spelling of this? I get absolutely frustrated doing some numbers. When I'm seeing the clock, I'm not doing, okay, I don't know 13 is 1. That's all I know. If you ask me what is 18, I don't know. I have to do 1. I have to do 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 to know it's exact clock. There are all of these things that still exist with me and forever long will be probably. And Benaisha, no matter how hard I try to hack it, I just can't. It's my cognitive disorder. I can't do it. Right. So there are different mechanics on how I learn systems, how I remember things, how my remedials have helped me out. And, but today's kid, I believe, has had a better opportunity, a better understanding. It was actually quite strange because in the early 2000s to late mid 2000s, I heard so many kids being diagnosed as dyslexic, especially after the movie came about. So much to say that I felt like people were just handing out these certificates just like hotcakes to be dyslexic, But it was a painful moment. It was really, really painful to go through school and college. And I remember that we didn't have any extra systems. The only thing extra that I did get was half an hour to every hour for my board exams. And the assessor would discount my spellings and not cut marks for it. Because literally I would get a 0 because my marks are all cut because of spelling mistakes. So they would just avoid that.
Right.
People got a writer back in the day. But now systems are different. You can use a calculator. You can use spell check. You can type instead of write. You can get a teacher to be your writer instead of just another person. You have remedial learnings. So the second school I went to, which is Beacon High, in Mumbai and Bandra, they actually had a separate unit for disabilities. And that's the reason I travel from South Bombay to Bandra every morning to go to that school. And that's the reason I am even here today. I mean, it got me kickstarted to even believe that I actually could have had magic within me and to just scrub on it, a little bit more. And everyone, hears stories like these and feels like, but this thing happens only to some of us. And I used to be that one. But I want to tell everyone listening and you as well that I think if you really believe in magic, it's like Aladdin scrubbing on that lamp to get the genie out. So the scrubbing action of physicalness is the belief in thought that's in your mental and emotional space. that day I went thinking, really thinking, no, magic is within me. I didn't know where to find it. I didn't know what the magic was. I had no expectations from it, but I just started to believe that I'm magic. I'm magic. And I'm God's gifted girl, and I have magic. I went from God hates me to I'm God's gifted girl. The minute we shift our perspectives for ourselves, because that's the only thing we can do. There's very little that we can change in our lives, but that little becomes actually quite a lot. We talk about less is more in fashion, but we never think about that for our belief system.
Beautiful, Benaisha. And moving on to what you do currently, which is being an integrative personal counselor, also being a mental health enhancer. I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit more about what you do and how this is coupled, all these different hats that you wear, image consultant, integrative personal counselor, mental health enhancer. How are these all coupled together? Do you have clients that come in for one specific thing? Do they come in for all three? How does it all work? So first, tell us a little bit more about what you do currently, then a little bit more of your clients and what they come into you for.
Sure. So I'm certified in 2 subjects. One is image consulting. And so I am an internationally certified master image consultant and by the Image Management Professionals Association. I have done my education in India as well as in the USA. And in image management, I work with individuals on their appearance, their body language, their communication. So that's the appearance aspects of verbal and non-verbal. Then moving on to integrated personal counseling. So basically, in short, I'm a therapist who uses different modalities, which is why it's an integrative. The word used is integrative. So I use 3 different types of modalities for personal counseling. Wherein over here it is, as you say, it's psychotherapy, right? So it's talk therapy that I used, psychoanalysis through talking methodologies. However, I like to use integrative personal counsel at this very moment because you only use the word psychotherapist as a title once you've at least completed 10 to 20 years being a therapist, ethically speaking. But it's the same terminology. And that is my role as a mental enhancer, so as to say, wherein I'm talking about the attitudes, the belief systems. So the modalities that I use are such as CBT, REBT, which is Rational Emotive Behaviour Therapy, transactional analysis, different other methodologies of personal counseling. Clubbing it with image management has been my most successful format, is because no one just comes to me saying, I just want to look good. They come to me saying, I want to feel, think, look, and get good responses as well. And the holistic format would be only to integrate the mind, body, and soul. I don't really touch upon the soul aspect, but I work on the mind and the body, and that somehow reaches the soul, hopefully. So what I do here is an individual comes to me and says, hey, Benaisha, I need to get ready for a party, and this is what I need. So in terms of styling, that's one aspect wherein I'm only strictly doing styling with that individual and I'm grooming them for that event. So whether it is how to wear, walk, and talk. So that's
all right.
One. Second aspect is someone saying, I just want personal shopping. I just go shopping with them virtually or physically. And that's just one aspect, fashion. Third aspect is when someone comes to me and saying, I'm going through a lot in my life and I'd like to speak to you about it. So we get started on the journey of understanding them. They could be individuals going through divorce, individuals going through shifts in their personal capacity with their parents or their friends, or moving countries, or, losing jobs, whatsoever that they may have. They may or may not want to work on their physical appearance in terms of fashion, etc. And that's all right. So I just do the therapy modality with them, wherein I talking to them about how to really work towards their belief systems and change it. And yes, so that format, I call it listening with love.
Oh, I love that.
There's a wardrobe workout and quick fixes and image management inside out. So to just give you a nutshell, these would be the three spaces. But I worked with individuals, I work with our adults, children, teens, corporates, single moms, single dads, anyone who wants to be uplifted in their lives through attitude or appearance or both.
Benaisha, while you were speaking, I was going to ask you if you'd share one of the success stories in any of these areas, any of the stories that you think might highlight what you do and leave an impact on all of us.
Sure. Let me think. So I've had a lot of these kind of stories, but the one that pops up at the top of my head are usually the ones that I started off with somehow. And there was one lady who was, she was married to a man who was from a different socioeconomic background, and both of them were two different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Right.
But they had to come together in marriage. And, the lady actually felt the need to really upskill herself. And she wanted to not only learn English, but she also wanted to, understand the nuances of fine dining and etiquette and clothing and mannerisms. And while that's all good and fair, it actually comes from the mindset, right? It's not about looking good. So it was a wonderful journey of 1.5 years almost of working with her on her entire persona. And, seeing this change, even her sister-in-law, who was from, the fancier socioeconomic background, that's how she said it. She too came for an enhancement process, and she benefited from the same. And then it went on to the sister-in-law's family. And, so from that one person, I landed up working with 4 members of that family and extended family. And those are just one of those journeys. I've had couples come to me saying, my wife needs grooming. And then the husband realized that the wife is so well groomed and now he needs to catch up too. So he starts on that. And, then it starts sometimes with kids as well. So these are some of my client profiles. So I've had a bunch of aha moments when I've been working with individuals who are going through a really tough time, whether it's through their divorce as well. And the clothing really has nothing to play a part in that for the moment, but it starts off with mindset, then moving on to building confidence, and feeling good is also about looking good. And it's a strong ingredient, and that also then culminates. So it started off with, I need to heal from my divorce, to now I suddenly need to start looking good because I'm going to date again.
Exactly.
Finally, I've had as recent as possible, I've had 3 clients, unfortunately, who went through a divorce, and now they are happily engaged. One is married already.
Wow.
And it's been really nice to hear that, So these stories are just so much more than a paycheck or anything. And they truly make you feel like, yeah, you did good, Benaisha.
Oh, you definitely did. Yeah, you definitely did. You definitely do. And like I said, I reached out to you through social media, even though it was your TEDx talk that caught my attention. How have you managed to retain a significant presence on social media?
So I wouldn't say I've arrived at all, because I constantly feel like I'm lagging behind my social media marketing. But I actually don't market, to be very honest with you, Benaisha. I don't market because I just don't. Not out of pride or anything. I just don't. I don't think in that direction. I'm a natural giver. So what I believe is, I think if I give valuable information, someone finds it valuable, they'll message me saying, "Hey, I want to get in touch with you, and how do I book a consultation with you?" And that's what's been happening since 11 years. So I try to put out content that is relatable or knowledgeable to my viewers. And if they find value in it, I let them be the decision maker of the same. Though now, so I realize that the competition is quite fierce. And, there are lots of people who have just started, doing good work as well, versus I've been here quite a long time and I need to move forward and upward. And so now I started engaging in different ways. I wouldn't say like I really hacked it out and I'm really good at it or any of that, but I'm a work in progress in this department. And I'm going slowly, but hopefully steadily, step by step on it. And I've always focused more on doing more work than just showcasing that I'm doing work.
Right.
A long time ago, I went to one of my mentors and I told her, I said, ma'am, it's really sad because there's so many other consultants out there who are posting so much data and they're getting so many likes and shares and all of that. And I had so much FOMO coming from that. And she looks at me straight up saying, how is your bank balance doing? I was like, it's good. I mean, it's like, do you end up paying your bills? Do you have any loans? Do you have any EMIs? I was like, no, none, nothing. No loans, nothing. It's like, you're buying what you want, you're traveling, you're doing what you need. I said, yeah. I was like, where are you going with this, ma'am? She said, point of the matter is you're paying your bills, you're enjoying your life, you're making the money that you want and that you need and that you're fulfilled. The likes and the shares and the comments are not feeding you. They are appreciative, but they're not feeding you. And the reason, why are you not posting about your work if you're doing so much work? Because obviously she knew the kind of work I was doing in the clients I was dealing with. She's like, why aren't you talking about all this? So I told her, I said, ma'am, honestly, I don't get time. I'm just so fagged out at the end of the day that I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. She said, that's it. Think about it.
Yeah.
You just don't have the time from your clients to post about it, but it's not like you're jobless. It's not like you're not successful in making money and making this, fruitful in what you started off with. It's not a charity thing that you're doing versus maybe the other person either has more time, maybe has less clients. She told me. And maybe they're doing, that's their way of marketing. Right. And you've been fortunate that you are doing one post, and from that one post, maybe you're getting 4 or 5 people and you're busy with those 4 or 5 people. So don't judge it on what you see. And that was another moment. And this was in my early, I think I was 21, 22 at that given point of time, and I was like, oh my God, but it looks like all of them are doing so much work. But actually, when I went through all those posts, there were reshares of quotes and, of stories, and it wasn't work. They were just posts. Right. So I feel that, today that's where I need to work towards, and I'm working on it. I need to showcase my work. I need to tell people that these are the different kinds of work that I do. Because a lot of people may just know me by title, but they might not know as to what does an image consultant really do? How can she really help? Or how can an integrative personal counselor, what does it really mean? It just means to be a therapist. So, all of these things, I'm working to kind of position it in a more simplistic format through the content that I'm creating on my social media page, whether it's Instagram or getting onto LinkedIn. So, yeah.
Beautiful, Benaisha. And before I say goodbye to you, one last question. What would you like to see manifest in with your community, with your followers, with your clients in the near and far future? What would you like to see manifest for you?
I would like to build a loyal community rather than a big community. I mean, big is great, but if I can get big and loyal, I'm good and golden. So I would like to manifest a community that is mindful and that is conscious, that is positively present in the here and now, and that is supportive to one another as well. So I think that's the community that I do want to build. And I hope to build, and I hope to attract all those kind of clients as well who are looking for their upliftment, who are looking to be better citizens of, their nation. And empathy, I really wish the world becomes a lot more empathetic. And I try to strive that with each life that I touch. And, sometimes people reach out to me, like even when I do brand collaborations, they're like, are you really okay? Like, how can you do this? Like I'll throw in a freebie, or I'll just, just be normal. And I'm like, of course, there's no point of being a diva here because I understand it. Why should I put you through something just because I've been put through it? If I have been put through it, I should be empathetic and not egoistic. And I think that the world needs to get used to kindness.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just doing it one person at a time as I can do.
Oh, beautiful. Benaisha, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed our conversation today. I felt like I was just having tea with you in the same room kind of thing. Yes, you did see me pick up my cup several times during.
I have water.
So, like I said, yes, it's been really fun, and I don't even know where the time went. And I thank you for sharing so openly with us. And here's wishing you all the very, very best. And I hope our paths actually call. Thank you too, Benaisha. Take care.
Take care. Thank you so much for having me, and all the very best to you.
Bye.